Hi everyone, it's your UC Alice here, and today we're going to go over your EDU20004 A2 flicked collab. So we respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which Swinburne's Australian campuses are located in Melbourne's East, Outer East, and we pay our respect to their elders past, present and emerging. So this assignment, which is your second assignment for the unit, is 1,500 words in limit, and it's worth 40% of your grade, and it's due on 5 p.m. of Monday of week 9. So we've got 3 scenarios here. So it's important that you understand that you must do all 3. We can't just choose one. Everyone will submit 3 different scenarios. They will have a written discussion of 500 words each, which brings you to that 1,500 word total. Now, each scenario will have the same components. They'll have 1 teaching strategy, 1 resource, 1 rationale, and of course, they will have brief links to theory, and they will all have, of course, in-text citations and 1 reference list for the whole assignment. So let's have a look at the next page. So the assignment details page. Now this is on the A2 page on Canvas, but of course we encourage you to read through the A2 page in detail yourself. This is obviously just a recap and to start off your thinking. Please ensure that you always read through all the tabs on the assignment details page. So in your folio, you will need to respond to all 3 scenarios, as I just said on the previous slide. You will need to align 1 teaching strategy and 1 resource for each scenario. And you'll need to include a descriptive rationale that discusses how your resource and strategy can support and understand the behaviours described in the scenario. So your rationale needs to make specific links to principles, policies, and practices in the learning environment related to each scenario. You will need to give an explanation of your chosen resource, and this explanation will assist you to establish and maintain a positive and productive learning environment. Your selection of resources and strategies is assessed through the assignment criteria. So it's really important that you choose an appropriate resource for each child, and I'll get to that in a minute. Some discussion of how the resource adheres to positive models of behaviour management is required. So let's keep moving along. So case study 1, I encourage you to pause this if you like and read through it yourself. And then once you've done that, let's have a look at some key words in this scenario for Hunter. So hopefully you've just paused the video then and read through this scenario with Hunter. So I'm just going to skim through and look at some key words for Hunter. So we know he's 14 months old, so that's important. He's got a strong bond with his teacher, Rachel. He's become frustrated. He's fighting. He's getting angry for no apparent reason. He's bitten children. They've tried distraction, but it doesn't work. So there's some key words for Hunter. So you need to think about what resource could you use for Hunter's scenario to help you address his behavior. So obviously distraction is not working. We want you to suggest a resource that will help Hunter. Okay, so let's now have a look. So we've got relationship with others. So this is Alana. So she is 2 years old. So again, I encourage you to pause the recording here and have a little read about Alana, and then let's have a look at some key words. Okay, so Alana, she's 2 years old. She's having trouble transitioning. Only child. She's missing mum. Mum has just returned to work 6 weeks ago. Refusing to eat and sleep in the setting and calling for mum and dad. Teachers are observing. She does play alongside and have moments of happiness, but I think for the most part, she's obviously very upset and missing her parents. And there's a few words there on the bottom 2 lines that are discussing things that she likes, such as books, playing with blocks and sandpits outside. So when you do your case study for Alana, you will need to think about what resource could you implement here to address these behaviours. All right, case study 3, relationship with curriculum. So now we're looking at ARN. Okay, so I encourage you to pause the screen here and have a read over these details, and then let's have a look at some keywords for ARN. Okay, so ARN is 5 years old. We've got a gifted belief from his parents. He rarely engages, prefers to work on his own. He can complete challenging activities. His teacher has observed that he doesn't engage socially. So we need those social skills to develop, and he refuses to engage with creative and physical activities at all. And his parents are obviously very focused on enrolling him in a gifted program. So you need to also think about what resources could you use to develop ARN's social skills. Okay, so for each child and each scenario, you will need to use this template here. So you will fill out this template 3 times. So once for Hunter, once for Alana, and once for ARN. Okay, so just as long as we need everyone to be very clear, you must, we will have 3 copies of this, but of course it will differ for each child. Okay, so each template will respond to each corresponding child and their scenario. So we want you to use this template, please. Please don't design your own one. We want everyone to use this so we know that you're fulfilling all the task information. So resource 1, you need to name your resource that you would use for each child. If you can use an image, that would be great, or a hyperlink so that we can see what it is. Okay, so this first one, this is going to be for Hunter. Okay, so we're filling out resource 1, and then coming down here on the bottom half of the page, it's for your rationale. So this is where you will have to unpack in formal assignment 3rd-person language. You will need to unpack the behaviours for each child and outline what behaviours your resource aims to address. What are your identification of the behaviours and the preventative models of behaviour management reflected in your resource? Give an explanation of how your resource will assist you to establish and maintain a safe, supportive and productive learning environment. Discuss how your resource will be introduced in response to the scenario for each child. And you must link to a behaviour theory for each child. Okay, so it must be evident from this unit. There's lots and lots of theories of behaviour mentioned in this unit all the way through to week 9. So choose one of those, please. Please don't choose a behaviour theory that is not listed in this unit. Okay, so make sure your behaviour theory is discussed to support your analysis of the principles, policies and practices being reflected in the resource. Okay, and as it says here, it must be selected from this unit of study, please. Okay, so we want everyone using this template 3 times for each child. So supporting resources. Porter 2016 at the top here, the essential reading, that's our key reading for this unit. So that must be in your reference list, please, because that's our essential reading. And then of course, obviously you can use the other resources from this unit, and you can do some of your own research. Okay, and this here, where this blue box is on this screen, this is where you can find the folio template. So as I've said, please download it from there. Please don't go and make your own. We just want to be sure that everyone's using the same template and the same format there. Okay, so the overarching criteria. So your submission will be assessed against these criteria. Number 1, selection and rationale of resources and teaching strategies that align with the scenario and learning behaviour theory, theoretical frameworks, principles, policies, and practices. So ensure that you're thinking creatively about your resources for each child. We want to make sure that they're engaging, age appropriate, play-based, and relevant for all the children. Ensure that your teaching strategies align with each scenario. And when we talk about policies, we're mainly obviously referring to behaviour management policies, but also to curriculums such as EYLF and the National Quality Framework. So criteria 2, you need to have a discussion of your chosen resource and chosen resource and teaching strategy for each scenario that supports behavior and makes links to relationships with self, others, the curriculum, and we would love you to look at a strength-based approach and a strength-based learning environment. Number 3, demonstrate an understanding of the nature and development of guiding behavior. So that's also to do with Porter's resource with infants, toddlers, and preschool-age children, and how to respond to support their social and emotional skills. And criteria 4, we want you to be using formal academic expression, including writing conventions, grammar, APA 7 referencing, and obviously all those elements that come to do with academic writing. Okay, so pass criteria. So remember, this is a holistic rubric as A1 was in this unit. So think of these as building blocks. Use this as a checklist. Please ensure that you've checked off each dot point here in the pass criteria so that you can pass. And then to move to a credit, you must have fulfilled all this pass criteria to start to be marked in the next criteria. Okay, so let's unpack the pass criteria. And of course, you can find this on the A2 page on Canvas. So your folio shows an understanding of children's behaviors and how to respond to them appropriately. Links are made to learning behavior theory. So you must link to a theory to pass this assignment. So again, please choose one from the unit. And of course, your folio includes a description of what each item or resource is for each child. Each item will have a descriptive rationale, which discusses how each resource and teaching strategy supports and understands behavior. You've shown an understanding of planning approaches that support behavior and positive learning environments, but you might lack a bit of detail, but you can still achieve a pass with that. Your rationale is supported with some evidence and shows an understanding of the nature and development of behaviors. You've made an attempt to reflect. You've made connection to some readings, theoretical frameworks, principles, policies, and practices, mostly adhered to conventions of English. Don't forget, we're looking for third-person writing, and there might be some errors in your APA referencing. Okay, so achieve a credit. So to be marked in this criteria, you might begin to, whoever's marking your work might be able to begin to tick off some of these points. Now, however many points they tick off in this criteria will mean how high your credit mark is. Okay, so you're more than welcome to pause this recording now and read through the credit criteria in more detail, or please visit the A2 page on Canvas. But when you start reading through this, you'll see that the language becomes more complex and more is required of you to achieve a credit. Okay. Distinction. So you can see, again, the language really develops here. So we've got a sophisticated understanding. You've got examples and citations in quotes or paraphrasing or supportive evidence, and it's carefully integrated. So you can see that technical language, consistent and comprehensive understanding of behaviours in children. You've drawn on evidence from a wide range of relevant sources, including the essential reading. And you've used language very effectively and professionally. And high distinction, so obviously all the things from the previous criteria, but you've got a detailed and insightful understanding. You've got evidence that is synthesized and carefully integrated quotes, paraphrasing and supportive evidence. You've got sophisticated reflection on personal and professional practice. Your writing is concise and logical. And obviously the big one for the high distinction is there is a flawless use of APA 7 style. So there are no errors in your referencing or spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Okay. So thank you for watching today's Flipped Collab. As I've said, this is just an overview of the A2 task. I encourage you to go to the A2 page on Canvas and read the details thoroughly, and visit your A2 Q&A discussion board thread if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone. Bye.